This is Alaska, America's last frontier, and home to Sarah Palin. She came from nowhere, from small-town mayor to possible presidential candidate within a handful of years. She credits Alaska with its rugged landscape and lifestyle for giving her the toughness that's brought her so far. So we've come here to ask Sarah Palin herself and the people who know her best, will she run and can she win?
Enter a race to win the race, so there's still a lot of considerations that have to be made.
As a mother, I have concerns. Her safety and that of the kids.
She can fill a 50,000 person stadium, fill it up. Defeat the Obama agenda however you can. She just can't be in charge.
Sarah Palin's stratospheric rise has been unprecedented. As the youngest ever state governor in Alaska, she enjoyed 90% approval ratings with her much vaunted bipartisan approach. But she turned Republican attack dog after being chosen as John McCain's running mate in 2008, a role she's revelled in ever since. Alaskans pride themselves on not just surviving but thriving in one of the fiercest environments in the world. And for those here who find the living is easy, there's always the Iron Dog. It's a 2,000-mile race across Alaska on snow machines. Dangerous terrain and temperatures at times as low as -50 Celsius mean the main aim is to make it safely back home. Sarah Palin's husband Todd, known as the first dude when she was Alaskan governor, is a veteran.
I'm in it to win, so I'm not in it to take second.
Well, you want to win this?
Oh, yeah.
Although there's no sign of Sarah Palin, the rest of the family are out in force. Chuck, Sarah's dad, wouldn't miss it. Does it say anything about Alaska, Alaskan people, the strength, the sturdiness?
I don't know if we're tough or we're stupid, but we have a good time.
One or the other?
Yeah, probably a combination of both. Yeah. No, it's just a different way of life up here, yeah. If you don't like the winter, you don't like the cold, you shouldn't be here.
The Iron Dog is one of the biggest events in the Alaskan calendar, and Todd Palin has won it 4 times. But the big race the rest of the world is interested in is the presidential race, and whether Sarah Palin will be in the starting lineup. When Sarah Palin does arrive, today, it's with no security and no entourage. So we take our chance to talk. Governor Palin, hi, I'm Jackie from BBC in London.
How are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Excellent, excellent today. This is one of our favorite days of the year.
I'm struggling with the cold, I can hardly speak.
All right, do you have layers on? Do you have enough layers? Okay, good.
Tell me about the race, I mean, tell me about why it's so important.
It's pretty uniquely Alaskan, you know, 2,000 miles across the, come here, rugged conditions.
Yeah, shook your hand and said hello.
God bless you. God bless you. Ride safe, ride hard. Uniquely Alaskan. This is awesome, and it, you know, a lot of us living sort of vicariously through the Iron Doggers, because so many of us would love to be tough enough to do what they're doing.
Now, he's racing to win quite clearly. Presumably you don't want him to lose either. You don't do losing.
You run the race to win, that's for sure.
And can I just ask you, of course, the big race everyone is interested in outside of the Iron Dog is the presidential race. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Are you going to run?
Well, there again, you enter a race to win the race, so there's still a lot of considerations that have to be made. We haven't made up our mind or desired to make an announcement yet as to what it is that we'll be doing.
I mean, what are the considerations at the moment? What are the things that you're weighing up?
Well, understanding that Obama has already said, you know, he's gonna rake in and spend $1 billion in this race. Money certainly is going to be a consideration. And then just the idea of will the American electorate be ready for someone a bit unconventional in terms of a candidate who will call it like she sees it and who will not be beholden to special interests or such obsessive partisanship as to let a political machine get in the way of just doing what's right for the voters. So,
in a sense, do you think that your sort of unconventionality in that sense, the fact that you tell it as it is your strength, but is also perceived as a weakness as well?
Well, in I believe that it is a strength because I certainly encourage my kids, I encourage everyone I know that whether it be in their workplace, whether it be in their in a political arena or within their own families, to do what their gut tells them to do, and that involves calling it like they see it and tackling the tasks that are at hand and not worrying so much about what other people are thinking or saying about them. And a lot of that goes along with that unconventional vein that I'm talking about, that independent vein that I have within me. So I think it's a strength, and I encourage other people to exercise that strength too.
Trying to get a clear sense of who Sarah Palin is and what she wants is difficult. Her personal image and political history are riven with contradictions. Can she still be the small-town hockey mum now she's a celebrity millionaire? Is she the pro-business conservative who screamed "drill, baby, drill" at the oil companies? Or the populist governor who hit the industry with a big tax hike? She calls herself a fighter, but she quit the governor's post early. And it's contradictions like these, according to her critics, which explain why many Alaskans fell out of love with her some time ago. Is it mush or mush?
What?
Is it mush or mush, I'm supposed to say?
Well, you don't say mush. That's from dog sleds.
Okay.
These are snow machines.
Okay.
Bob Lester takes me for a drive, Alaskan style. He's half of the Bob and Mark radio show, and Sarah Palin is often a guest.
I sure do wish that people would just believe in truth and tell the truth, and then we could all be a bit more productive and not waste time in this world.
Well, amen to that. And one last question, we'll let you go. Are you running for president?
I told you guys you'd be the first to know.
Despite her success, to them, she's still Sarah from Wasilla.
She has the ability, I think, to talk to the common man and woman on a level that we can understand. You know, for the longest time, it seemed to be big oil ran things, and they were very arrogant about it. And there was a good old boys. They called themselves the Corrupt Bastards Club. I mean, they actually had hats made that said CBC. They were proud of it.
Yeah.
And she
went flaunted it.
Yeah, and she went in there and broke it up.
She's able to bridge that gap between an elitist and most of us in America, and that's one of the attractions.
But why do you think she attracts so much criticism?
She's got this it factor that they just can't get a hold of. They just don't know what it is, and it scares the crap out of them.
And we're back, hour number 3 of the Thursday edition of the Dave Steeran radio program.
But Dave Steeran, another conservative talk show host, says he understands Sarah Palin only too well.
She was a hands-off, I don't really want to get involved in doing stuff governor.
He's horrified by the prospect of her running for president. He recognises her power, but says she's simply not a credible candidate.
She shows up on a stage for 20, 30 minutes, throws a few you betches out there about how we're moving America forward, etc., 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 and that's crowd talk. Crowds like to sit there and be all riled up, and they don't care about details. You know, maybe the problem isn't the Republican Party. Maybe the problem is most Americans don't want to know the plan. They're not detail people.
Since resigning as governor, Sarah Palin has pioneered a new style of politics. Through Facebook and Twitter, she goes straight for the Palin faithful. It's been hugely effective at getting her message out unchallenged. But if she runs for president, she knows that's got to change. In terms of making the decision, presumably the pressure on you and your family is a big part of that decision making, because you've been through a lot, you take a lot of flack.
Our family is pretty thick-skinned, though. We have taken, the pressure, and pressure, I think, builds character and allows someone to handle what else is coming. For the last 20 years being in political office, our family has had unconventional schedules. We put up with a lot of flack, and we're still standing, and we're doing well. So we're not worried too much about that pressure put on the family, because we've been tried by fire.
What about, what are the criticisms that have hurt you the most? I mean, clearly one of the big ones that's thrown at you is that you're not intellectually capable. I mean, does that sting?
Who said that?
Well, we kind of fell into
lots of criticism about, the interviews that you've given, the ability to get your head around foreign policy.
How about the idea of perhaps what some of the media has chosen to portray? Let's take a couple of examples. And I really don't want to have to talk politics in one of the best days of our life here in Alaska, but I'll give you one more answer.
Why not, right?
things like that are misconstrued regarding rumors out there that are still in the media because reporters don't do their homework and they don't too often and they don't set the record straight, though I think it's their job to set the record straight. Rumors like, I didn't know that Africa was a continent. That's still out there. That's a lie. Things like, I censored books when I was the mayor up here in Alaska. That's a lie.
She says she's thick-skinned, but wounds from the campaign more than 2 years ago still seem raw. So is she driven by a desire to prove people, especially the media, wrong?
If I decide to run, we know that we have to put up with a lot of the BS that comes from the media.
You're saying your favourite from the media? Which one is that?
Is that Trig is not my child, which is still out there in the media. An indication of promise.
How offensive is that? I mean, how do you
Would
deal
you be
with the hurt?
offended if somebody said that your child isn't really your child? It's offensive.
Sarah Palin is in India. Do you think she thinks they're a swing state?
Liberal commentator Shannon Moore has locked horns with her for years. She says Palin loves to play the victim, but she has little sympathy for her.
People say some pretty personal things about her, that she's a moron, that she's a fool, that Trig wasn't hers. Is that fair game?
I think for Sarah, she has used her kids as props, as examples of her being pro-life with a pregnant daughter, of her being, her 9/11 patriotism by having her son go into the military, her pro-life about having a Down syndrome child and holding him up like he's the Lion King baby. I mean, she put those kids in harm's way, I think, when it comes to the press.
I'm kind of a junk collector.
Such visceral criticism is perplexing territory for Sarah's parents. Chuck Heath is a tough man. Now into his 70s, he's still working as an animal trapper. But it's clear his daughter's political life has affected them all. He agreed to a rare interview and began by showing us around the extraordinary family home.
Sarah's a good hunter, too. Sarah's a good shot. Everything she does, she's competitive. And she was competitive in her hunting and fishing.
She definitely wants what's best for the country. She's never been one to seek the glory for herself.
But while Sally admires her daughter's political motives, she worries hugely about the possible dangers of her running for president.
As a mother, I have concerns.
While Palin and her family weigh up the personal issues, the key political calculation must be, can she win? At the North Pole Shooting Club, there appear to be few club rules. An eclectic membership is drawn together by a love of the Constitution and a belief that freedom comes in the shape of a gun. There's real anger that their very way of life is under assault. Sarah Palin, with her love of rifles and religion, speaks to that anger. But will that translate into votes?
The exact opposite of what's going on in Washington is what we need, but I think we have to be careful not just grabbing in the dark for anything.
I think that she's probably the one with the best chance of winning that might actually be able to slow some of it.
I loved what she did with our state when she was our governor. I wish she hadn't left as our governor. I don't know if she has what it takes to be the president of the United States of America.
It's heading for -20 Celsius at the end of the Iron Dog race in Fairbanks, North Alaska. Sarah Palin rushes to the finishing line, but today she doesn't want to talk.
Hi, Sarah, how are you?
No politics.
Sarah's husband, Todd, had been winning all of the last leg, but in the end came in second, overtaken when his machine hit an obstacle and was damaged.
I know. You're awesome, Todd.
They say you need to be tough, skilled and lucky to win the Iron Dog.
Awesome, Todd.
Not a world away from politics then. Sarah Palin's career has been built on a potent mix of luck, opportunism and shrewd political timing. She's the outsider who wants the biggest prize in politics. And everyone I spoke to, friend or foe, said she should never be underestimated.
Get one with her, Sarah.
She's now just got to decide if she's ready to run the race.
Thank you.
Oh, okay.